Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic, and welcome to this deep woo-woo episode entitled Quantum Healing with Sherri Divband. You can find her work at Sherri Divband here on YouTube and also on both of her websites at intuitivewellnesscenter.com and divinelyguidedchildren.com. Let's give her a big warm welcome. Sherri, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. Every time you're here, the time goes so fast, and we are like, "Oh my God, the show is almost over, and we have so many things to talk about." So I'm excited to have you here. So how have you been doing since last time we were on the show?
Oh, just busy. So busy. I can't keep up with emails and calls and texts, and I have my one-on-ones and classes I'm doing, and so just taking one day at a time. But so much is happening, and I know that because I feel like there are these shifts, and I think where I said the previous 2 weeks before our last interview, I could tell things were speeding up and so much was happening. And now, even since the last time we spoke, even more has happened. And I'm seeing it through my sessions and with the people that are being guided to work with me. And it's validation of all of the things that I've been feeling or I'm seeing other people talk about, like your guests. So things are speeding up, and there's a lot going on. So it's all hands on deck, right? That's what we talk about.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, we have a lot to get in here. Let me share with the audience here. I put a few notes together, guys. If you want to follow along with us, I've created this notepad here on our website. So hopefully, usually when I have these episodes and I want to stay on track, I put these little notes there. And a lot of the audience members like, share the notes so we can follow along with you. So I'm like, all right. So I put it on. So it's beyondmystic.net/notes. And so here, as you can see, we're going to talk about her new animated series. We're going to also talk about activations from 2012 and onward, whether you were born with it or not. A lot of people are having those questions right now. We're going to talk about the new Earth babies and how they're having some trouble coping with the energies right now, and also some children seeing through the veil. A lot of reports of that. And finally, we're going to talk about an update on this Tomorrow War concept that Janine and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, the next phase here of our mission. So lots to get through here tonight. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this live interactive show. I'll be taking your questions and comments as we go. And yeah, let's get started. So first, Sherri, last time we were on the show, you gave us an update. You finally found a new animator for your children's educational videos. Let's talk about this last one here that was just published 6 days ago for the audience.
Yes. So this is a new animator, and he did an incredible job. I'm very proud of his work, and he did it very quickly for me. There were a few things that comments that we received, which I felt the same way. And so the voices are a little bit robotic sounding, and I think it's just because he had a hard time finding voiceovers for me. So we're working on that for the next video. It will be fixed, but we tried our best to make them look very similar to the other characters, and the voice is the same. And it's a lot more work than people think to put a 5-minute video together.
Oh yeah.
But this one, I'm really proud of it, and it's actually my favorite one. The third and fourth script kind of go into each other, but this one is special because I talk about the ascension. And we teach children about their superpowers and not to look towards Superman and, Supergirl and all of those characters, but to find their superpowers from within. And we actually go through the superpowers that they have and explain them one by one. And it'll go into the next one and the next one. And so we're on this superpower theme. And this right now, she's teaching children to feel their own energy and how to heal yourself, how to do meditation with bringing light in, high frequency, love light energy in to help you feel better, to help you calm down. We're teaching them how to work through their emotions right now, because a lot of them are having heightened emotions in this 3D matrix that we're in. It's very heavy, it's very dense. And I would say the biggest challenge parents are having that I've been working with for probably 3 years now, is the general theme is they can't control their emotions. They have surges of rage and anger, and they can't get out of it. And they hit, they throw, they scream, they bite, and because they can't, they don't know how to navigate or understand what they're feeling because they've never felt those emotions before. They get trapped in that vibration. So this video is about helping them understand that, how to get out of it, So this one is my favorite one so far, and the next one is going to be even better. So I'm so excited about it. I really am. I can't talk about it enough. I've watched it like 17 times, and every time I just feel so grateful that we were able to put this together. And so please, anybody watching this, please check it out. Give us your feedback and show it to your children, grandchildren, neighbors. So here we're talking about superpowers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I put the link in the live chat for you guys now. You can go check that out. But of course, it's on Sherri's YouTube channel. And so far, you're getting a lot of feedback already. A lot of people in our audience have seen your video and they loved it. So,
Good.
folks, as Sherri is saying, a lot goes into this production, and she's just one person trying to change the world here. So, if you want to support her, you can do so by donating at her PayPal tip jar. And this goes towards the production of these amazing educational videos for children. And as you know, more of that, absolutely more of that is needed on this earth right now. So big thank you to Sherri for this endeavor, and big thank you to everyone here on the show who feel it's appropriate for them to support Sherri in this endeavor. So thank you so much, everyone. Okay.
I would also, I just want to say thank you to a big public thank you to all of those of you that have donated. I'm so beyond grateful for your support, and I wish I had more time to reach out to each one of you, but I am just filled with gratitude for everyone that's donated so far. I appreciate it.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much. And that's what it's all about. This community is all here to support each other. And this community has supported me here through some pretty rough ride the last couple of months here with all of the censorship stuff. And I really appreciate it when we can come together and spread that generosity across all of the people who come on our channel and who are genuinely trying to make this earth a better place. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate that. And Maria Breno says, thank you. Thank you too. Okay, so let's get into now the main concept for the show tonight. Now that we've done some of this housekeeping, you mentioned to me before the show that as you're doing these one-on-one sessions here, you started seeing a theme come up in 2012, and it has to do with activations. Now, a lot of people on the planet think, oh, I was never psychic. I'll never be psychic. I won't have these abilities. Let's talk about that. What have you seen, first of all, in those readings, and what's coming up now in your field of view as you continue to do these personal one-on-one sessions?
Yes. So I have received so many emails talking about, how people have felt their whole life that because they weren't able to tap into their senses, and they weren't, psychic. I don't like the word psychic. I'll never use that word on my own. But for lack of a better term in the moment, people refer to psychics as, wow, they have these incredible abilities and they can do all of these things that I cannot. And I'm trying to break that paradigm and let people know that you don't have to be 3 years old or a child super psychic and seeing angels and guides and all of these things to be 50 years old and awaken. And that's what's happening right now. I feel as though on purpose, a lot of people have their activation has been dormant until 2012. I'm seeing a theme. The only reason I know this is not because I read it, but I'm looking back and I'm in hindsight, I'm recognizing that there was a pattern and a theme. And from 2012, there's a huge spike. Again, another one in 2014. And I don't know the significance of 2014, but I remember a huge influx. And then another one in 2017. So there must be some significance with those dates. But where people are suddenly awakening, and then all of a sudden they're having vivid dreams, they're hearing their guides, and things are coming through, and they don't know what it is, and it's a little bit they're fearful about it, or perhaps they don't have anybody in their family. They literally email me and say, I think I'm going crazy, and of course I talk them down and I say, you're not going crazy, you're elevating, you're ascending, you're awakening, you're having a spiritual awakening. And so I just want to empower people, everybody watching this, that I'm a good example of this. When I was a child, I was very intuitive. I always connected to animals, and I always had a sixth sense about people. But I was very shy. I was very introverted. I didn't fit in with a lot of kids. I moved around a lot. I was bullied a lot. So I was actually very closed off. So it wasn't until I got into my early 20s where I started allowing myself to open up to the spiritual realm and accepting all of the meanness, is that a word, that I endured when I was a kid. from other children being mean to me, and I thought the world was such a mean place. And I had to break down those walls for myself. And once I opened myself up, I realized that my intention was that I wanted to connect, and I did believe that there was more to the world. And then I had my first son at 23, and everything changed for me. And all of a sudden I was flooded with all of these abilities that I didn't know I had. And then my second child came, with each child I was activated. People watching this don't have to have children to be activated, but that is just one example of an activation that occurs with a lot of people. But the point is that anybody watching this, whether they're 20 years old, 50, 90, it doesn't matter your age. What matters is we are in this period right now of frequency shifting, and all of us are activating and awakening that are ready and willing, of course. And you can do what I do and what other people do. I'm not special. John Claude's not special. We're just out here talking and trying to help and guide people. And so when I started teaching intuitive development classes and Reiki, and pendulum, I mean, I was like, I'll teach anybody everything that I know. Anything I know, I was willing to teach many years ago. And I had so much fun. And I realized, gosh, I really love teaching people this. And they were able to do it, and they were able to connect, and they were able to do all these things they didn't know they could do, which proves to me that it doesn't matter your background, your age, what area of the world you live in. Anybody watching this, that says to themselves, because words have power, that says, oh, I wish I could do what Sherri does. Oh, I wish I could do that. You have to change your intention and your thoughts to, I'm ready and willing to activate myself and open myself up, because that's what I did. When I was ready, I put that my intention was that I was going to connect, and I was ready. And I invited my angels and my guides of the highest frequency, of course, only to connect with me. But if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to move. You're just going to stay where you are. And so that was something I really wanted to talk about today, because I teach a lot of people. I teach a lot of classes, and I can tell you that many people are doing it, because right now is the time. It's like all hands on deck. It's that time period for everybody to tap into those gifts. So I think that was the main thing that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's very good. And it's funny you mentioned that too. Like, we're all getting cued basically to talk about this. I did a video a couple of days ago. I put it on the BitChute simply because some of the words there would trigger maybe some problems here on YouTube. But it was called, you can see that on the screen there, that first one. And it's essentially talking about what Sherri's talking about now. We're all going to be getting these leveling up in our missions, because we're at this critical point in time. The energies in space are helping us do that as well. So it's not just about, as Sherri says, having a baby to activate your powers, but there's a lot happening right now, and there's a lot backing us. And of course, we're moving into this new astrological age, the age of Aquarius also, where the knowledge becomes one with us. We're not being schooled anymore. It's going to reside in us, and the power that brings, and the responsibility that brings. So go check out that video. If you're called to it, you might get some further activations just by listening to some of the concepts I put into that video. Now, what's his name? Jérôme in the chat is saying that he's reading the Magdalene manuscripts. We were talking about this a couple of episodes ago, and thank you, Jérôme, for that comment, because that, of course, is another way to increase all of your capabilities, is to increase the ability to hold the electrical charge or the energy within this body. And some of the techniques are found in this book as well. And the Taoists, of course, have many perspectives on that as well. So thank you, Jérôme. So we're all being called to up level, but we're all going to take different paths. And it's a matter of what's the best path for ourselves. We're all individuals, and we're all very unique in that way. So maybe one recommendation I have, and I'll ask Sherri what her recommendation would be, is just to sit quietly and just tune everything out. It doesn't need to be like a 5-hour meditation, but just like maybe go sit by a tree and just pay attention to what it is universe is trying to tell you right now, what you're supposed to be doing, and how universe is going to be supporting that endeavor. And it'll come very clear, especially right now. Everything is coming very fast and furious. Part of it has to do maybe with these energies hitting the planet as well. Not so big today here from the Schumann resonance, but the last couple of weeks, we've seen some crazy, crazy activities there as well. So what would you say, Sherri, to those who want to level up, but they feel maybe lost at this point? How can they connect to that leveling up or that new promotion, so to speak, here in this temporal spiritual war?
Yeah, good question. Disconnecting is definitely number one. Turn off the TV, put your phone down, and go outside. That is the biggest message that I've received rather through many, many sessions, is that we have been purposefully disconnected from the earth energy, and the earth's energy is our anchor. That's what drives our life force here, because we're human beings. We're having a human experience, as James Van Praagh used to say, or still says. And so we need to go back to that, because that is another superpower. That's what I talk about with the kids video. That is a superpower of ours, and they jam pack us into these cities. They make us believe that there's not enough land on the planet, not enough resources, because they purposely smush us together. They suffocate the earth with concrete and all these buildings. They take down all the trees, the forests, and we are completely disconnected. We have electromagnetic frequencies all around us, our phone, our TV, the electricity out. I mean, it's every single where. We can't get away from it, these radio waves. And so go out in nature. If you live near the beach or a lake or a river, even a little pond, whatever you can find water, because water is incredible pathway to raise your frequency and to help clear your energy. If you can't get near water, then go to a park or a forest, be near trees, connect with the earth. The earth is here for us to help us ascend, and we need to go back to it. And that's what a lot of the children are trying to show us, because a lot of the behaviors that they mirror or mimic are things that we need to do ourselves to bring ourselves back to balance. So when children are acting out because they've been in front of the tablet all day, and you take them outside and suddenly they shift, their energy shifts, and they're connected to nature, and they're running around, and they're not, misbehaving anymore, something like that. We need to do the same thing that they do. So they're trying to teach us what we also need to do as adults. So really connecting to nature. Meditation is such a word that has caused so much anxiety with a lot of people, because, and I talk about this in my book, it's challenging because we're so left brain trained, and we're so in the fight or flight mode that people cannot sit down and relax. And it actually makes them more frustrated when they sit down and they try to do a meditation, and all they can think about is the grocery list that they have, or all the things that they need to do the next day, or they just fall asleep, because again, there's cortisol and adrenaline running through their body, and then they just crash. And it can be very frustrating for a lot of people. So what I recommend is to do a walking meditation. You don't need to sit still. Go turn off. You don't take anything with you, and you take a walk in the forest or near the water, and just be within the quiet of yourself and allow your thoughts to pass through. The conscious thoughts are okay. If you're thinking about, I have to go grocery shopping, okay, yeah, great, let it go. And do some breathing to get yourself to a point in which you can tap into the right side of the brain, where you are able to connect with your higher self and receive the messages that you are in need of at that time. And it comes through, our guides come through telepathically. So a lot of people feel like their guide is just going to land in the third dimension with you and talk to you face to face, and that's not usually most often times, it's not the case anyway. So they will send you messages, and they come through as your thoughts. And because we don't believe, a lot of us don't have trust, or don't have faith in our connection, we think we're making it up, or we feel like, oh, we're getting mixed messages. And we have to trust the first message that we receive, because there's truth to it. So, we need to reconnect with earth energy through crystals, and just being out in nature. It's really, really imperative right now. And the lockdowns and all of these things are keeping people in front of their TV watching Netflix, not going outside. People are afraid. I have neighbors that are outside doing yard work with a mask on in their own property with the fence around their house. I don't understand. I really don't understand what's going on in their mind, but they clearly are tapped into the matrix, and they're there. And I feel, instead of being upset with them, I just send them love, and I hope that they wake up soon. But I forgot what I was going to say. But yes, those are the main things that I recommend, and they're easy things. And breathing is so imperative. I would say that till I'm blue in the face in every single class that I teach. Get yourself into parasympathetic mode. Get yourself out of the fight or flight. sympathetic mode that our bodies are in for way too long. We're not designed that way. We're not supposed to be in that primal part of our survival mode. That's not how we were designed. But because of the humanity and where they brought us, we are in that mode all the time because we're constantly stressed. We're working too many hours. We're worrying about food on the table and paying for college and all of these things that we're worry, stress. We have all this cortisol and adrenaline. Our body is reacting to that with a lot of dis-ease, headaches, all of this disbalance. If you just take 2 or 3 minutes in the morning every day to start your day, to switch yourself over to the parasympathetic mode where you've got endorphins and dopamine running through your body, and you bring yourself back to balance, because we breathe way too fast. Everybody's walking around like in this like hyperinflation. You have to just slow everything down. When you slow things down, you bring yourself to a different state of being. Suddenly, you have clarity where things make sense, or you can make a decision about something because you have the right chemicals, or not chemicals, the right hormones flowing through
Right.
the body that promote that balance, that promote that connection to your intuition. And so, breathing twice a day, 2-3 minutes, that's all it takes just to bring yourself back to balance. Your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure goes down, your the tension in your muscles will just loosen, and you will feel incredibly at peace.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Okay. Let's move into the next subject. So, well, we kind of touched here on whether you're born with it or not. We're all born with it. It's whether or not it's activated. We all have this. We're all the same. So, we all have these abilities. It's just a matter of tapping into them. And right now, as you're saying, and I'm saying, universe is supporting that. It's supporting us tapping into that higher self and to that mission. So take the time for yourself. Don't do it for us. Do it for yourself. Do it for your kids. But you'll see there's big rewards in that as well. There is some hard work, yes, of course, when it comes to maybe deleting, removing some of these old programs and beliefs that no longer serve you. That could be difficult sometimes on the cognitive dissonance. But once you get past through that, again, the rewards are really big here. Okay, so let's talk about New Earth babies and the fact that right now you're getting reports that they're having a difficult time adjusting to the energies. Let's get into that topic a little bit for the audience.
Yeah. This one is a big one. I've been saying this for years. I talked about it. I talk about it in the Divinely Guided Children's book. And I was told this by many souls of many children that are still coming in or have already come, that it's going to be very challenging for these children that are New Earth, meaning they maybe have had no lives here, or this is one of the few that they've had. They don't have karma. These children are not coming in to teach. I'm sorry, they're not coming in to learn anything. They're not working through karma. They are here to teach and to guide. That is their only purpose here. And so they are high vibrational. Their frequency is over 700 most of the time to 900. These are 7th, 9th, 11th density beings coming in as children on this earth. So you can imagine the magnitude of the energy that this body has to integrate, this physical body. So and I have been told that most oftentimes, especially with divine children, that it takes up to 6 years of their life. Not only that, but if you rewind to the pregnancy, the mothers have to withstand all that energy. So they have an etheric pregnancy for about 5-6 months before they even conceive the child. They are pregnant energetically. So the baby's energy the soul's energy can integrate with the woman before, and it slowly integrates, and they have shifts. So right now, a lot of these babies that are 6 months and less, or even let's say a year, are not sleeping well. Colicky is just a term for not knowing why they're crying. So they're crying a lot. They're not able to sleep. They don't want to eat. Some of the older ones that are supposed to talk or at this point in that stage of development are not speaking yet, and parents are freaking out and they don't know what to do. And I'm trying to explain that what's happening is, instead of trying to help instead of trying to make these children adapt to third density, they are trying to pull us into fifth. And so they are having a difficult time in the lower frequency that their bodies are in, and their bodies are trying to integrate all that energy that's coming in their little systems. And it's very difficult and it's very challenging. And so the best thing that you can do for them is movement and grounding. So these children that are having trouble sleeping, it's because they have too much energy. They can't sit still, and when they're in the stillness of of when they're not moving and trying to sleep, that's when they feel a lot of that, and it's uncomfortable to them because it's like surges and rushes of energy. If any of you have ever had that feeling where you just have a surge of energy go through you, imagine that being the case all of the time, but being in a body of a baby and not being able to tell anybody what's wrong, and they're frustrated, and it can be very uncomfortable. So they need to move. So walking them around as much as possible, take turns, pass the baby around to other people, use alternative holistic treatments. Don't try to medicate them. They don't respond to medication anymore, and that's by design because their bodies are different, and so they're not going to respond well to traditional treatments that we would use. So crystals, walking them around, taking them outside in nature, and really just being compassionate and empathetic to the fact that instead of getting upset with them and frustrated, think about how difficult it must be to be in their position. So then you're more compassionate and empathetic towards them, and maybe you have a little bit more patience, because it's rough. And I feel for each one of those parents out there that are dealing, having to navigate through this right now with their child that is fussy and crying and won't eat. But it's all for a reason, because they are not trying to adapt to our 3D world. They're trying to pull us into the 5D world to prepare us for it, and they're just having a little difficulty adapting. To skip ahead just for a second, because it keeps coming in my mind, so it must be significant for me to talk about. They're seeing things. They're seeing a lot. Imagine, I'm getting messages all the time that think about all the darkness and all of the creatures and entities that are being kicked off the planet and they are getting kicked out of the underworld, and they are coming through, and they're desperate to find. I mean, I can literally see these creatures going through walls in apartment buildings, desperate to find somebody. And I know that sounds scary, but the children are so high vibrational that they can't attach to them. So they're so much more safe than they would have been 20, 30 years ago, when I was a child. And so they're seeing these things and they are scared. And so if you have a 2-year-old that suddenly, or a 1-year-old that suddenly has been sleeping through the night, and then all of a sudden they're screaming at night and they're afraid, but they don't tell you what's wrong. You ask them, what is it? They don't have the words. They don't even know what they saw, or perhaps they're afraid to tell you. But believe me, if your child is screaming at night saying they're afraid, it's for a reason. They're not trying to play you. They're not trying to sleep in mommy's bed. I give them the trust and the security that they feel that they need. And I am an example of that. My daughter was one of those. I gave her Reiki every night to go to bed because she didn't want to go to bed. It wasn't out of fear, initially. And she slept great in her room, never had a problem. And then all of a sudden, around a year, she screamed bloody murder in her crib. And I've never seen somebody that scared before. And from that day to this day, who she's about to be 7, she still doesn't sleep in her room very well. But for 3 years of my life, I sacrificed and I slept in her bed, in her room, away from my husband, because I knew that the only way she felt safe is if I was with her. And I knew I knew what she was seeing. And there wasn't anything how I could explain to calm her down. So I just had to be an anchor for her and a guide. So for those of you that have children that are terrified, that are seeing things, that are running out of rooms out of fear, or won't go in a dark room, there's a reason for it. And just do your best to try to make them feel safe, because that's what they need right now. But the good news is I was told that because the veil is thinning and these bad creatures are getting kicked off the planet, we won't have to deal with them much longer, and our children will finally be free of that. And that made me feel so much more at peace, because I know it's not that far away. So in the meantime, just sleep with your children, or do what you can, put the siblings together, whatever you can do to make them feel safe, because right now that's really the most important thing.
It's funny you say that, because a lot of parents I talk to, they're like, they see the world and the degradation and everything that's happening, and they want to educate their kids with tough love, because it's a tough world out there. In this particular case, though, where we're saying that might not be the best approach here. They're seeing things that maybe we don't understand yet, so we need to be a little bit more compassionate and understanding and accommodative here of some of the things that they're dealing with that we just still have no clue. So I think it's important for us to talk about that tonight. I really appreciate that, Sherry. Somebody was saying here too, based on the same subject, animals are also seeing weird shit. I was talking
Yep.
to Catherine Edwards last week too, and she's saying, yeah, the horses are acting up. People are seeing their cats, their dogs are acting up. What are you getting with that as well? Same thing. They're seeing through the veil at this point. What's going on with the animals?
Well, so the animals always see and always have, but because there's an increase in activity, they're seeing a lot more of that. So they are acting a little bit strange. They are howling. They are even having their own ascension symptoms, not because they need to ascend, but rather they're dealing with their owners, their family members, energy shifting, and animals very willingly take on what we let off, or they pull it from us. They put their paw on you. They sit in your lap. The cats come and they purr on you. All of that is healing. All of that is purposefully designed. They do that for a reason, not just because they want a pet. A lot of times they are doing that to help heal us. So they're taking on more than they have ever done before. I've had countless friends, pets pass away, one including my own 9 months ago. A mass exodus of pets have left the planet as well because they could only take so much, and then now the newer younger ones are coming in to help. It's all planned out. It's all by design. Nobody did anything wrong that's watching this. If their dog recently died or their cat, they have chosen to go, but new ones are coming in and they're helping us rebalance the energy. And so the animals are in fact a little bit crazy right now as well, but it's for a reason. They're dealing with all of this energy, all the shifting, and they feel it twofold. That whatever we feel, imagine what they feel. It's 10 times what we feel because they're very tapped in to all of their senses, and so they feel everything. So they're feeling what their family members are feeling in the home. They're sensing the energies. They're probably, especially cats, not so much dogs. Dogs work more in the physical realm, so they're gonna work. They're gonna keep away bad guys that are physically here. But cats are very well known for ridding off evil spirits and entities that come in your home. That's why you see them in the middle of the room, batting at the sky, the ceiling, or cawing. I call it cawing at making funny focal little looks like they're having a seizure. They do that to rid off the spirits. So yeah, give your animals lots of love right now because they're really doing a lot that behind the scenes that we don't even a lot of people aren't aware of.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, let's switch gears here into maybe an update for the audience of this concept of tomorrow war. Janine and I produced this episode on July 5th where we were talking about um, this return, just to say it that way, and how it connected to this movie and the concept in this movie of Tomorrow War that was just out on Prime Video. Now, at that point, just before we had recorded this episode, Janine and I were getting a lot of reports from our audience that people were fighting in their dreams. It was all of a sudden. It was just like they were called to fight, and they would wake up. They have bruises, neck pains, body part pains, and all that. And so we figured out that they had just been called in this. I don't want to say it's the last war, but a last minute type of temporal war, maybe movement. And we did an update video of that maybe a couple of weeks ago, and she said that we were at about 80% done. We still had some work to do in that. So there were still people, emailing us saying, hey, yeah, I'm having these fighting wars too. Now, this week, I just recorded on Monday with Janine. We went back to look at this one, and as she was pulling cards, we've had moved ahead again forward. So we're not losing ground here. We're gaining ground. We're at about 90%. So do you want to talk about that here, this temporal war, and some of us and some of the people watching the episode now who might not realize right now that they are probably more active in the sleep state than they are in their waking part of the day here, and that they're involved in this. Let's get into that subject.
Yeah, I align with this very much so, as we were talking about before we started the show today. Again, through my sessions, this is how I know a lot of the things that I know is through this. I learned so much through the beautiful people that I work with all over the world, and so many. It's like I feel like they come in clusters for a reason. So in the last 2 weeks, I have had dozens of people that I've worked with where their soul or their soul family or their spirit guide or their angel, all of the above really, have told me that we have reached this pivotal point. And I've heard it several, most of the sessions are very similar in these particular ones that I'm talking about, although the messages were given in a different way, but they were all kind of meant the same thing, that we have reached this pivotal point. So when we were talking about all hands on deck, 3 weeks ago or whenever it was, now if you fast forward to this period, it's like, okay, all hands on deck has occurred, and it has been occurring, and we have reached this pivotal period of what I was shown in one session with this lady. I was their guide, her team gave me a beautiful not a beautiful analogy. They gave me a clearer analogy that I thought was very interesting. And what they said is, they showed me this visual of a hurricane. Think of a really nasty, like really bad hurricane coming through and just obliterating an entire area. There's trees down, cars upside down, flooding everywhere. The houses to crumbles, all of that, right? That's the visual I saw. And what she said, the guide said, it was a female. She said, we are in the cleanup stage. So the hurricane has passed, and right now we were in the cleanup stage. Although in the mainstream narrative or in the movie we're watching or living in, it doesn't appear that way. But behind the scenes, we are in the cleanup stage. So a lot of things have already occurred, and now we are cleaning it up. So all the light workers and all of the truth seekers and all the warriors and everybody have all done their part and are continuing to do their part. But we have reached this point of no return now, and it's so important to let people know, to have this faith and to release the fear, any remaining fear that they have, that nothing is happening. Because in actuality, all hands really are on deck, and I can see it because every person I tap into, they have their certain role, and there are so many warriors fighting in their sleep. I had a woman the other day who not only was fighting in her sleep, but she was living this parallel reality or two lives at the same time, where she was a etherical warrior fighting, like Michael Jaco, let's say, like in the Secret Space program, something like that, but not in that program. And then into the daytime, she was feeling like she couldn't sit still. She had to run all the time. She was doing CrossFit. No matter what she did, she didn't feel like she could get her energy out. And then at nighttime, she would sleep well, but wake up exhausted. And I said, you're doing so many things while you are in this soul split of yours, where you are having two lives at the same time. And you need to give this physical body that you're having right now a little bit of a break, because she's tired, but also energetic at the same time. And she was like, I don't understand what's happening to me. And this is happening to a lot of people, because a lot of people are in their dream state, astrally fighting in this spiritual war. Like I said last time, I'm not one of those people. I think I'm more of in the angelic realm, helping mediate and plan and heal and guide people and teach. That's my role. But there are a lot of people out there that are in the battle, physically and etherically, fighting for us. And so no better, no worse than any other role. They're all integral parts of this entire mission right now. But the hurricane cleanup, for me, really made a lot of sense to me, because I feel like what Janine is saying aligns with what I've been getting, that we are so very close. So very close.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just mentioned mainstream media. It doesn't appear that way right now in mainstream media. Let me bring this one up, and I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle this here, because again, this could be difficult for the algos here. But what do you make? What do you make of what's going on in that neck of the woods right now? Why now? And of course, this just came out that the full withdrawal has to be by this again, a satanic date here. What do you think about that? How does that
Honestly,
connect here in physicality? Why again this area of the world?
I feel like this is twofold. I feel like this is, again, part of the narrative, part of the movie that we're watching, to awaken people to what's going on, and to get people off their couch, to be like, what's going on? And to get people activated and to understand that there's so much more going on, and things are being mismanaged. And but I feel like there's a crescendo happening soon. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like it's a more build up. The Haiti earthquakes again. It's all build up. All the I can't say a lot of words. All of the things in the arm, threats against the young ones going back to school. Oh, I can't tell you how many emails I got about that.
Right.
It's all these are all things that activate and get people to get up and say, what is like, this isn't right, what's going on? And they're all things like left and right in all categories that are meant to get people awake, to awaken the masses. And I really feel like Afghanistan is a big part of that. I really do.
Hmm. That's fascinating. And how do you think it ties in to this component here too? A lot of people in this community have been talking about at some point here having this, I want to say financial reset for lack of better words, but an upending of the financial structures around the planet. Is this indicative of what's going to happen even here? Now, of course, this is a big how do you say that, failure for the current regime here in North America to have this happen over there on their watch. But what does it mean also maybe for things to come here as the financial resets? Do you have any sessions or guides talking to some of your clients at that level to let us know? Because a lot of people are worried, like, what's going to happen to my pension fund? What's going to happen to my savings? What's going to happen to my mortgage? Um, does that even matter at this point? Are we going way past that really quickly? What do you think?
I don't have these specifics, but I could tell you with certainty from my sessions universally that one domino, it's like the domino effect, okay, and it's all about what's to come. And I believe in the full reset, and I think that everybody needs to stop thinking about the specifics, because again, that's bringing us into fear mode of what about my mortgage, what about my house and what it's worth, and my pension, all of that stuff. Let that go, because I feel like it's so much bigger than that, that it's not even going to matter, because it's uh it's so multidimensional. So how the specifics go, I can't tell you, because I think that it's ever changing depending on certain things and certain elements. But I feel like on the other side, the structure looks completely different.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Where I don't have any worry about it, because I know that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. But right now, these little things happening in different areas of the world is supposed to, I believe, are signs that things are moving forward.
Yes, I agree with you. And we're coming to a head. You and I were talking about this in the last time too. Like I was thinking of taking some vacation with the kids, and we're like, I don't know that I want to leave very far right now. I take care of my parents; they're 70 years old, and I was like, I don't know. Things seems to be everything's rationing up to something right now. But in terms of staying out of the fear frequency, I agree with you. In the last show with Penny Kelly, we had talked about this white wall. And so essentially, she does these remote viewing sessions into the future. She calls them look-sees. And for the last 8 or 9 months, she kept hitting this white wall and was not permitted to see on the other side. And she finally was able here recently to see on the other side. And she described something akin to what you're just saying now, that everything is different. Like it's just like you won't recognize anything. So that means that essentially everything has to crumble. And so for a lot of the people, this is where the challenge is going to be. They're holding on so strongly to what they think they know is reality, but these are all structures that need and must crumble in order for the new ones to take form. So it's going to serve you a lot better if you're flexible and you go with these new energies of creation, as opposed to trying to hold on to the past, or to try to fix these past structures. They don't fit in this new energy frequency we're moving into. And what this Luxie was talking about, and she's coming back on the show this Friday night, folks, at 7:30 Eastern. We're gonna do a little bit of an update on this. But essentially what she's saying is that these new structures that are coming in place, they're going to be of our design, as opposed to having this energy extraction matrix design that was, just meant to fleece us 24/7. We have the opportunity now to build these new structures for ourselves. So it's a brave new world. And I, for one, I'm very encouraged. And yes, there are some scary things happening around there, but when I look at the big picture and I step back, man, these are exciting times to live in. Sherry.
It really is. That's why the last show I talked about, to everybody, dream big. Instead of worrying about your pension and current events, because a lot of it is also meant to distract us, so we're glued to the TV and looking at every negative thing. And what we need to be doing is connecting with our higher self, rebalancing ourselves, breathing, like I said, and designing what your world, what you want your world to look like, and everybody is going into their categories, right? So I have all the nurses. I have so many nurses, so many doctors that I do sessions with who have quit their job. So we talked about this, like I would say 9 months ago. I had a lot of sessions with professionals saying, "I'm thinking about quitting my job," right? But they weren't there yet. And I'm never going to tell anyone to quit their job. My job is to guide and help guide people and teach them to tap into their intuition so they get the answers that are best for them. And so now, in the last couple of months, and even more so in the last 30 days, they've already quit their job. And now they're like, okay, how can I be of service to humanity? What's next for me? And it's opened up, even for me, it's opened up so many more windows for me to peek out of. The windows that I peek out of are through the souls of everybody I work with. That's how I know a lot of what I know. And now I look out the window, just like Penny's able to see beyond the white wall. I can see more now of what the future looks like because more of us are there. More of us are calling that energy forward. More of us are connecting to that higher awareness and actually designing what they want the world to look like. And now I can open the window and I can see it. And I say, wow, this is so amazing. Look at the education system for the children. Look at the retreat centers. Look at the medical industry. No longer is energy healing considered secondary or alternative. Now this is primary, holistic, and energy healing and acupuncture and all that will be primary. The other will be alternative. So everything is shifting, and I can see things moving forward that I saw years ago. I saw small glimpses. I talked about this in early interviews I did in last year, where I saw it, but I didn't understand what it meant. So I could never fully articulate it. Now I'm seeing it much more in HG, much more vivid, much more expanded, and I can see the moving parts, and I could see, and then through my sessions, I could see each person that I'm working with, what their role is and how they're able to contribute. So to me, this is such an important time to be the architect of this world and design what it is that you want it to look like, and then let's manifest it together. Think big, and then think bigger than that, because that's where we're headed. The medical field, politics, every single aspect of our life, I don't care what it is, that is going to change. So there's a blanket, no more emails of, oh, what about this? Yes, the answer is yes, yes, yes. Everything is changing. And that's why we have these beautiful children coming into the world, because they will anchor us in. We are, we're out there and we're doing what we can. People are waking up in the masses. So I talked about this with a couple of clients recently, where they feel like, oh, I feel a strong urge to become a healer. I want to do what you do. And I said, great, do it. Because what's happening is we're going in waves. So we have people before me that taught the next generation, and then let's say I'm that generation. We're going to condense it a little bit. I know this has been going on for many, many, many thousands of years, but to make it simple. So then I was in another wave where I am now able to, because I have done my own healing and I continue to do my healing and my ascension, I am now able to guide another generation of people. And I don't mean generation by age. I'm just talking about the next wave of people that are ready. They could be 5 years old that I work with, or they could be 95. It doesn't matter. It's that wave. And then that wave of people are now learning so that they can then help the next wave of people that wake up, and so on, until we get through to a point where we are thriving in the new earth, where the children anchor us in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah, and again, it had to do with that battlefield promotion there. We're all leveling up, so that's amazing. Wow, thank you. Okay, we're 49 minutes in. Let's take the last couple of minutes here to take some questions for the audience. I have the first one on the screen from John. He's asking, Sherri, do any of your children have angelic and or ET guides, occasional or always? I believe what he's saying is there a rotating crew, I guess, of either guides or ETs here with your clients? What can you say to him?
Yes. all of the above. So most people that I've worked with have uh, one main spirit guide that's an earthbound guide. This is hard to answer. Let's talk about adults that have been here many times on Earth, and not the children so much. They have at least the one spirit guide that works with them from birth, and they've likely had another lifetime with them. So they're very connected in some way, and it could be somebody in your soul family. And then you have your guardian angels, many of them, and then you have your galactic soul family that it works with you as well. That he's referring to, the ET guide. So we have a whole slew of people or beings that guide us. The children are more connected, that are New Earth, because they haven't been here for that long, have more galactic guides and more of the angels help, because the angels help guide them and protect them and anchor them into the earth. And then their soul family visits them and helps them navigate and understand their mission once they get here, because it's difficult once you come into this density to remember everything, although many of them are. I mean, I have kids that are 5-6 years old that I could talk to face, that tell me where they're from, what their mission is, that they've never been here before, what their body looked like elsewhere, depending on where they were from. It's incredible. So the veil is definitely thinning. But to answer John's questions, it's really both. It's occasional. They're always there. It's just whether or not you have an awareness that they're there. So they're always there, but you may not always recognize that they're there.
Right. Okay. Sarah's alluding here to some of the kids having rage. She says, my 2 teenage boys have been full of rage recently, which is not normal. I've been holding space for them, but I'm tired, of course, and we understand that. So a 13-year-old won't stop lying and doing the exact opposite thing of what we say. Yeah, that's typical, right? What do we say to that? So on top of being the typical, teenager challenging authority and seeing what the boundaries are because they're getting into their own personal, persona, they're also dealing with perhaps these energies that they're having trouble to anchor. So what can you tell Sarah here?
Yeah, Sarah, I wish I had a perfect answer for this, but our children, especially in the teen years, are so vulnerable to the negativity and the lower vibrations on the planet, and also from their peers. And so a lot of them are having challenges with anger because they are taking on energies that the anger that's not theirs. So we have to figure out whether or not your boys are angry for a reason, or are they taking on anger from their environment, whether it be out in public or in school, because a lot of them are so empathic that they take on energy and then they're suddenly angry, but it has nothing to do with themselves. But then they perpetuate the anger even more because they don't understand it. So what I would do for them, and again, where this is a woo-woo, right? So I would, if they will allow you to use dark crystals, put them in their room, or hide them in their pockets before they leave for school, or something like a black tourmaline or hematite or obsidian to help clear their energy. And you don't need to know Reiki like I do to clear your kids' energy, and you have permission to do that as their parent. So you could do a meditation and visualize them surrounded by golden light, and just just visualize with your mom's superpowers to have their energy cleared of any darkness that's not of their highest good, any energy that's not of their highest good, and just visualize it and use your mom's superpower to be able to get rid of that energy that's not theirs. And that will help a lot. Actually, you'd be surprised how much you'll see a shift in them. But also has a lot to do with, are they watching TV? Are they playing a lot of video games? What is their diet like? Because a lot of that could exacerbate the vibration that they're in when they're in a lower vibration, which is hard because they're teenage boys. So and girls, but teens in general, give them something to do where they can channel the anger in some way, whether it's sports, getting them into go to those places where you could hit golf balls really far. I can't remember what they're called, like Top Golf, or they need to be able to release the anger somehow. And a lot of times, because of the testosterone, it gets pent up in there, and they get wound up, and then they become physical. Maybe not with their mom or dad, but perhaps with other kids, and get into fights. So they need a way to release that energy somehow. So we got to figure out a way to get them to do something where they can release it. So that's going to be different for everybody. Sometimes it's physical, and then sometimes it's listening to music. Sometimes it's drawing art. They get their creative energy going, and they're able to release. So it just depends. You have to kind of gauge what your boys are into to see what you could try. But there is no one right answer, because every child is different and in a different vibration, and thinks differently and reacts differently to different things. But not to put too much on the future, but again, I've been told repeatedly that we are so close to shifting into a higher frequency that a lot of things are going to shift. Not only is humanity going to shift, and the jobs, and the education system, all of that, but the energy that we're surrounded with, the Schumann resonance, the energy of the planet is shifting. And so they will no longer be reacting to the environmental energy shifts. So it will be more internal, because there's two things that affect your energy. Environmental are things that you can't control. So anything that is out of your control, and then your internal yourself. So there's two factors that affect our energy and our emotions and our vibration. One we can control, one we cannot. So we can eliminate the one that we can't control in the moment, but perhaps in the near future, as things shift, then that will be one less thing that they have to combat.
Right.
So hopefully that helps.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to add something maybe for Sarah here, because one part that was glaring out at me is I am tired. And I'm like, oh, I totally get that. I have three young adolescent girls. What I would say to Sarah is maybe find some Sarah time also, because it's not good for the kids if you're always too tired as well, right? They say in the airplane, you put your mask on first and then you can help your kids, right? So maybe it's important for Sarah also to have some Sarah alone here as well, to recharge her batteries as she's dealing with all of this. Not easy, folks. Great question. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. So last question here from Marisa for tonight. Will we be able to help the religiously programmed? My BF thinks aliens are only in the movies, for example. They're in for one hell of a rude awakening, that's for sure.
Will we be able to help the religiously programmed? Yes and no. For those, what I have been told many times is that our souls are deciding. So our conscious mind may not be there yet, but for those of us on the planet that their soul is ready to ascend and ready to accept reality, the new earth reality, they will embrace, and they will open up, and they will accept. But for those that are not ready, or perhaps too 3D, too programmed, not because they're bad people, just because they've been programmed very well, and they're in hypnosis essentially. They may not, and there really isn't anything Marissa or any of us can do to try to rescue them, because they don't need to be rescued. They just need to wake up when they're ready, and if their soul isn't ready, then we have to let that go. This is a tough one, because people don't like the answer that I give, but not everybody's going to wake up, and not everybody is ready, and we have to have compassion for those people.
Yeah. You have to do you. Everybody else is on their own
Take
path.
care of yourself, yourself, your children, your husband, your family, but don't take on the burden for everybody else, because all that's doing is bringing your vibration down.
Was it with you the other day or with somebody else? I forget what the quote was, but somebody said to me, every time you heal yourself, you heal like 1,000 other people. Or have you ever heard that quote? Where does that come from? And it was
I don't know, but I've
no,
heard that, and I believe that very much.
yeah,
It's all about empowering people, that their light can affect so many. It's my light bright analogy. Keep your
yeah,
light on, because your light will light up others around you. You
yeah,
are important. We have to get out of this mentality that, oh, I'm only one person, I can't do anything. Oh my God, yes you can. If all of us had their lights shining, we would obliterate the dark in one night. But we don't. People don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they're significant. So we have
yeah.
to get out of that and recognize that we can affect other people with our light without you even having to say anything. Just be a presence for them. Don't engage in those. I was at the grocery store the other day, and this woman was absolutely ready to fight anybody. And I just looked at her and I said, I just want to send this woman love. Like, I wanted to give her a hug because I said, what happened to you in your life to make you so angry and want to fight anybody that was walking by? She was cussing at them. She wasn't drunk or anything like that. She was clearly with it, but just angry. And I felt for her. I said, what happened to this poor woman in her life to put her in this place? That's how I think about it. Instead of getting angry, I feel like, gosh, what happened to you to make you this way? And a lot of the time it has to do with childhood. Yeah, I think we're over time, but I just want to say one thing really quick. I went to the beach recently with my family, and there was this man yelling at his 4-year-old son on the beach, saying if he didn't listen to him, he was going to beat the crap out of him, something like that. And everyone could hear. I was like, I wanted to go grab that child and give him the most love I could just get in that moment. And I wanted to cry, because I'm like, how can you talk to an innocent child that way? But that's what's wrong with our world, is that dad was probably beat and abused as a child. So he's doing all that he knows. And there's this cycle. We have to break the cycle. We have to. So, it's just a shame, because that's what molds and shapes people and brings them down into that state of disempowerment, where they feel like they're nothing because they've been told that their entire life. Shut up, do what you're told, walk this way, listen to what I'm telling you. And the kids ask why. Don't ask why. The children are asking why for a reason, because maybe you need to think about the reason why, and perhaps you're wrong. I'm sorry. A lot of parents are wrong, and our children are here to teach us. They are not here for us to just push them around and make them feel small, because otherwise we'll never break out of this paradigm. It's time to shift and change and activate and love your children. And if they make you upset, instead of screaming I lose my cool, and sometimes I'll scream, but as soon as I get out of my system, I say, I'm sorry. I apologize for it, because I am human at the end of the day. But people that are telling their children that they're going to beat the crap out of them, I can only imagine what he does behind closed doors. Like, oh, my heart literally aches at the thought of all the children out there that are experiencing that exact thing. And so I encourage everybody just to find peace within yourself. So, the parents that are having a hard time and their children are driving them crazy, take a mom or dad timeout. That's what I talk about in my book. Instead of putting them in a timeout, put yourself in a timeout. Go outside, take a breath, go in the bathroom, do 3 minutes of mindful breathing. Bring yourself back to balance, because a lot of times they feel our energy. And when we're worked up because of them, then it bounces back and it goes back to them. And next thing you know, you're firing energy back and forth. And one of them needs to disconnect. And oftentimes it's the parent. We need to disconnect. We need to go and relax, because there isn't anything that they did that wrong that would merit these children to be yelled at. Like, I don't believe any child should be screamed at.
Not even close. Yeah.
It's not okay.
No, absolutely. Well, folks, if you want to have more of this amazing wisdom, I was about to ask her last words of advice, but those were great.
That was it.
That was it. Go check out her books here at, let me bring that back up, intuitivewellnesscenter.com. And what do you have right now in terms of availability for online bookings? What's your calendar looking like?
Actually, real quick on Divinely Guided, for those of you that are Janine fans, Tarot by Janine teaches through my children's center. I'm so grateful to have her. And she just posted her schedule. So she's teaching an adults tarot class in September, a children's tarot class in October, and then an astrology class, which is new for adults and children. So check out her classes. They're almost full. So that's exciting, because I love Janine's classes. So check
and where do I find that on the Divinely
Guided? If you go to the Divinely Guided website, on the appointment schedule page, right there.
Okay.
And then you go down, and it's virtual. Keep going. Okay. It has to load. Go back up. It has to load. It's really weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So there you go. So there's 2 tarot classes by Janine, and then below that are the astrology classes that are new.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really excited to have, and she's going to have these classes going throughout the entire year until the spring. So
Okay.
it'll be back-to-back series. So check those out. As far as I go, I'm booking into December right now, so I apologize for all the emails that I get that are of people trying to get in sooner. I'm trying my best. I'm even fitting people in on my days off, so I'm really, working overtime. And I have a few spots left in my January Ascension course, teaching people how to do healings. So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go, folks. There's still some spots available. Check it out. And especially the parents with kids there. I'm really impressed with those courses with Janine. That's absolutely amazing. And thank God that you guys have gotten together and worked out this amazing partnership. I think you guys are going to do magic there. That's absolutely amazing. Wow, folks, we're out of time. That was the quantum healing with SHERRI DIVBAND. Of course, she'll be back in 2 weeks from now. We're going to try to do these episodes every 2 weeks here on the Tuesdays at 4 o'clock Eastern. So just check for the next poster here in the next couple of days. I will be posting that up. And in the meantime, please do go and subscribe to her YouTube channel, SHERRI DIVBAND, here on YouTube. And you can find her, of course, at intuitivewellnesscenter.com and divinelyguidedchildren.com. I don't know, something French. I can't pronounce that properly. And of course, you can also donate to SHERRI here and her work, especially as it pertains to the animations for children by using her PayPal link. And all of these are in the description box below. So thank you so much, everyone. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe here on my YouTube channel. And join us again tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern for the Wacky Woo with my friend Jason at 4. We're going to be talking about all of these dreams and manifesting our new reality as well. So it's going to kind of tie into this conversation here today. And we're also going to talk about all of the wacky woo stuff that's going on around the planet right now. So don't miss that one. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Merci beaucoup, SHERRI, for being here. Always lovely to have you. And we'll see you soon, everyone. Au revoir.
Bye, everyone.